Shout out to Dr. Ford. And listen, Dr. Ford is going to be joining me next Sunday, so make sure you tap into that episode. Dr. Ford just said awareness at another level. That's so true. That's so true. Live from Florida, baby. Live from Florida, baby. Live from Florida. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Man, so listen. Response. Real freedom is not the absence of triggers, good people. It's being able to respond inside the trigger. Can you slow yourself down enough and not become the trigger, right? Because listen, this is what I wrote down. Can I feel pressure without reverting back to my survival instinct? Can I feel uncertainty without converting back to my survival instinct? Can I feel doubt and fear without converting back to my survival instinct? Right? That's the new revelation, good people. That's the new revelation. Can you walk yourself through this with grace? Can you walk yourself through this with patience? Right? Instead of criticizing yourself, instead of beating up yourself, right? When your spouse is triggering you, can you slow yourself down enough to respond instead of react, right? When your money's looking funny in your business, right? And the money's not where you want it to be, can you slow yourself down enough to respond instead of spiral and react, right? Because listen, if your feelings control your decisions, you will never be free, good people. That's what I want you to hear on this revelation part. That's the new revelation, right? It's okay to feel what you feel. You just can't become the feeling because the feelings come and go. The feeling is just data, right? Can you slow yourself down enough not to be controlled by your feelings, right? Can you slow yourself down enough? That's the real revelation, all right? So listen, part 4, the freedom. I'm almost done, man. Drop your comments below. Comment below like Dr. Ford did. Listen, your comment might help somebody else. If you got a question, hey, we all getting free today, baby. No more shackles today. We free. So listen. So now that you got that revelation, now it's time to build that rhythm. So what rhythm am I talking about? What rhythm am I talking about? These are practices that you can build freedom, right? Because freedom requires a rhythm. Y'all hear me talk about structure system. Freedom requires a rhythm. So here's what helps me. So I'm just going to tell you what helps me in my rhythm, breath work, right? You can do breath work anytime, anywhere, right? 5 breaths in. So something real simple. You hold for 2 seconds. Blow out for 6 or 7. Breath work. Getting in tune with your breath work, right? Giving your nervous system, right, a signal to your body, slowing your breathing down enough to where you actually get in tune with your breath, gives your body signal that I'm safe, right? This is the rhythm, right? Another rhythm, grounding yourself. You heard Dr. Ford talk about the 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 technique. Well, another technique that I use for grounding yourself is just giving your nervous system facts, data. You hear me always talk about separating the story from the facts, right? So grounding yourself with the facts, with the truth about your situation, not the story. How do you know when you're telling yourself a story? Because the story always starts with what if? What if this don't happen? What if this don't happen? What if? So every time you're talking to yourself, if you're always starting off with what if, that's the story, good people. Because facts and truth never start off with what if. They never start off with what if. Facts and truth always start off with this is what it is. This is where I am. This is what happened. This is what they said. Facts, truth. If you're starting off with what if, that's the story, good people. Another way you ground yourself, self-awareness. Self-awareness, like Dr. Ford said, self-awareness on another level. So what I mean by self-awareness, what am I feeling in this moment? And what story is driving this feeling? And what pattern is underneath the story? Self-awareness.